Coffee on a Tuesday and vlog 31. Ooh. So did you see this new Google video floating around, Project Glass, in which all the information that you can access on your smartphone is put into these very sleek glasses and made a part of your regular vision? That surprised me that Google put this ad out, because it must mean they think that there are more people who would see this and say, wow, that's amazing, I want that, than those who would almost reflexively be terrified by it. The video is shot in first person so as to put the viewer in the experience, and I wonder if I was the only one who felt a palpable sense of intrusion when the first icons launched into vision. The whole ad functions as a sort of metaphor for social media, something that is wedging its way into our lives and the culture so successfully that we can't help but to participate in it with everyone else. This is the effect of all new technologies. They create needs that you did not have before, needs which you can abstain from satisfying or even recognizing, but only until they apply to that critical mass of people. At that point, not to use the technology actually puts you at a disadvantage in communication. People begin to get angry with you, right? And you're all but forced to conform. Think of cell phones. You can choose not to have one, but are you willing to suffer the frustration and displeasure of all those who feel entitled to get in touch with you at any time? You can cling to your principles, but what happens when those principles come into tension with relationships you're not willing to compromise? You may say, you don't want to be friends with anyone who doesn't respect your choice not to be plugged in. That might work today with Facebook and Twitter, but not really anymore with cell phones, right? What job today doesn't require you to have a cell phone? What job today doesn't require you to have a smartphone? It's in this way that technologies wedge themselves into the culture over time. Individually, you may disagree with the technology, but you, like everyone else, has a stake in culture. So as far as the culture accepts Facebook, Twitter, cell phones, smartphones, etc., you'll have to compromise your values to the extent that you want to participate in it. We're all pulled along by the wave of culture. Maybe tomorrow you decide that you'll never watch a YouTube video again, but you can't be someone who never watched a YouTube video. No doubt it's a terrifying prospect, and you're not human if you don't feel even a little bit overwhelmed by cultural changes of this nature, and even more overwhelmed when you realize that the changes are coming at an accelerating rate, and devices like the Google Glasses will be ubiquitous, not tomorrow or next year, but in a relatively short time. You begin to wonder, who decides what comes next? In the post-war 50s and 60s, manufacturers created dozens and dozens of new appliances for the growing number of middle-class homes, appliances that they perhaps didn't need, but a capitalist economy is structured toward growth, toward profit. Corporations needed to build and create new products for consumption. You see the same trend today in technology and social media. The difference is that in the past, it was physical products that you could put somewhere. The advances and upgrades in tech instead have the effect of small, gradual, unsolicited alterations to our personalities. And that's weird. There's a lot of literature out there already on the way the internet age is affecting our minds and social behavior. Many say that it's a boon, connecting us to more people and more information. Others say that social media only gives the illusion of being more connected, when in fact we are more separated and alone. There is truth to both, I'm sure, and this is only the first chapter in a long story. But this weekend I had the pleasure to take a trip to the beautiful desert east of Los Angeles, and sitting there among the sparse vegetation, decompressing after 30 weeks of vlogs, I had the feeling that social media doesn't so much corrupt our ability to be social as it does our ability to be alone, to savor that much-needed solitude and silence in which so many things are reconciled and put in their proper place. And maybe it's this condition of perpetual half measures, half alone, half together, all the time, that we should be most careful to guard against. If not for the culture at large, then at least for ourselves.
From the first big swoop off the top of the jar, right down to the last little bit at the bottom. So for happy young faces, at all times, make sure you've got Peter Pan peanut butter on hand.